6 p.m. in Mexico City, where clashes are erupting and crowds around the country are following suit.
At 1 a.m. in Vienna, where world powers running out of time to reach an agreement on a nuclear program.
And it's 7 p.m. in Washington, where just 1 hour from now, the American president will announce his plan to shield 5 million undocumented immigrants from deportation. I'm Linda Kincaid.
And I'm Michael Holmes. Welcome to another half hour of CNN Today. Welcome everyone. In less than an hour now, the US President Barack Obama expected to announce a major overhaul to America's immigration policies, a plan that could affect millions of people who already call America home.
That's right. Currently, there are roughly 40 million immigrants in the US, both legal and undocumented. That's equal to 13% of the US population and makes America the #1 destination for immigrants.
Now, about a quarter of them, 11 million or so, are undocumented. That number has increased year by year since 2000. And of those who became legal US residents, 14% are from Mexico, more than any other country.
And many of those who come to the US risk so much in the hope of a better life. And why there are some who travel north on foot, others board a train to make the dangerous journey through Mexico. Our Gary Tuckman gives us a first-hand look at what so many experience on a daily basis.
It is called the Beast, or the Train of Death. And it's heading north, arriving in the southern Mexican pueblo of Ixtepec. When it's in the midst of its journey across Mexico, hundreds of migrants sit on top and in between its cars. Many people get hurt or killed boarding or getting off while it's moving, and that's why it's known as the Train of Death. The train in Ixtepec is making a pit stop, and many of the people on top of the train for as many as 8 hours are getting off for food and water. This Honduran man was one of the passengers. He says the ride wasn't so bad, that he left Honduras to find better work. Like many of the passengers, he is extremely hungry.
Most people get off the Beast right now to go to a nearby shelter and will catch the next train. But some people, like these guys up there, will stay on this train because they don't want to miss this when it leaves.
The shelter in Ixtepec provides food, water, medical care, and is well known among migrants who can spend as much time as they want here. 2-year-old Richard of Honduras is here. His foot was cut off when he and his mother were run over by one of the train wheels when they were trying to get off. The arm of his mother, Emily, was partially detached. She pulled her son off the tracks with her good arm just before her son would have been killed. She says, "I couldn't believe what was happening while it was taking place. One of the things I thought was, if this is God's will, then it's God's will." Unaccompanied children share this facility with adult migrants before they go back to the Beast for the rest of the journey north. Volunteers, many from the United States, help take care of them. Emily is an artist, a painter, who dreamed of practicing her craft in the U.S. I ask if she and her 2-year-old will continue their journey to the United States. She says yes, so none of this will be in vain. The Beast will be leaving soon.
This guy's waiting to get on the train right now. He's waiting for it to slow down enough, and he says he wants to go to the United States, and he's going to stay on until he gets to the U.S. border.
The journey with other train connections will take no less than 12 or so days, for many much longer, if they make it at all.
Once people start boarding, they have no idea when it actually will start its trip to the north. It starts and stops for a while they get it back on track. And I'm not going to go for a ride. I'm going to get off before it's going very fast. But it's anybody's guess when it will get to the United States. I'm getting off now because it's starting to go fast.
This is a life for the very motivated and very desperate.
All right, so what happens when new immigrants finally reach their destination? Gary Tuckman joins us now from the US-Mexico border, the town of Nogales, that's in southern Arizona. Gary, first of all, how far are you now from where the Beast makes that final stop in Mexico?
Michael, right over my shoulder, about 6 kilometers, 4 miles. That's the city of Nogales. That's the northern terminus of the Beast. And this is the border fence. When people hear about the fence, they think about a big wall. But that's not where these people go. They end up coming to places like this, the little fence. Behind me, the nation of Mexico, in front of me, the state of Arizona. And what they do, it's very easy for anyone to do it. This is made of twigs right here, some barbed wire, some rope, and that's all you have. This is about 3,200 kilometers long, 2,000 miles, the border between U.S. and Mexico, 4 states. But anyone can hop over this fence, and they're in the United States. And right here you see, these are some water bottles, a drink bottle that's been left by someone who was just here a short time ago. You know, people who want to, Michael, tighten the immigration restrictions say, when Mr. Obama makes a speech tonight that will enable people to say, oh, I can cross this border and I'll be able to stay in the United States, no problem, I won't have to leave, it'll be legal. That's wrong, obviously, that's what a lot of people think. Others who want to loosen immigration restrictions, they also don't want people to cross through here. They want it to be easy to come into this country or easier to come into this country. So what everyone has in common, both sides of the issue, is they don't want people crossing through the desert. This is very dangerous. In the middle of the summer, it gets over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, but this is the peak time of year, Michael. It's very comfortable outside, and lots of people, even as we speak, we're going to be here for several more hours. I guarantee you we'll see people in the desert here trying to cross from Mexico into the United States over this very flimsy fence.
More than 60,000 unaccompanied children tried to enter through the border between August last year and August this year. Do you think we'll see those numbers increase if these immigration reforms go through?
Linda, that's a very good question. That's what opponents of what Mr. Obama will be talking about think will happen, that people will now be emboldened and more people and more children will try to cross from Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador into Mexico here into the United States. What we have seen over the last couple of months, though, is a decrease in the number of the unaccompanied minors and the mothers and children. But there are many people who think that might pick up very soon after this announcement. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Gary, how many of them know what's coming in terms of the changes? I mean, we don't know until he actually says them, the president actually says them, but I mean, there's a lot of rumours out there. You know, there really is a rumour mill too in Latin America and Mexico, isn't it?
Oh, darn right, Michael. I mean, there's no question about that's why so many children and mothers and children were coming into the United States. I mean, undoubtedly, many people were leaving nations like Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador because of gang violence and danger where they live and wanted to come to a safer place for their children. But they had also heard, many of the people we've talked to, that things have gotten more relaxed in this country, that they would likely be able to stay, that even if they weren't able to stay, once they got into the country, it would be a long time before they had to go to court. And then many of them said they've been told they didn't have to show up. So that's what a lot of people had thought. So there absolutely is a rumor mill, an information mill, and people learn as quickly in those Central American countries as they do here in the United States.
All right, Gary, thanks so much. Gary Tuckman, right on the border there. Couldn't be more on the border near
Yes.
Nogales. Good to see you, Gary. Looks like a nice evening then.
And while exact details haven't yet been made public, here's what we do know about the president's immigration plan. According to White House officials, it would allow undocumented immigrants with American-born children to remain in the US without threat of deportation.
Other potential changes include extending the deportation deferment for immigrants brought into the US as children, a stronger focus on deporting criminals who are undocumented, expanding worker visas in areas like technology, trying to get people, talented people into the country. Also, new resources to bolster things like where Gary was there, border security.
And President Obama's plans and the fact that he's bypassing Congress is infuriating Republicans. They're threatening to block funding for his new policies and take the president to court. And some are even threatening to try to impeach him.
Yeah, here's the Senate's Republican leader on that.
It seems to be about what a political party thinks would make for good politics. It seems to be about what a president thinks would be good for his legacy. Those are not the motivations that should be driving such sweeping action.
Got a photograph there for you. It shows President Obama in the White House East Room on Thursday. That's where he will deliver the address.
The White House says the president will tell those in Congress who question him to pass an immigration bill. Meantime, Mr. Obama says the time to act is now.
We welcome people from all around the world who have that same striving spirit. We're not defined by tribe or bloodlines. We're defined by a creed, an idea. And we want that tradition to continue.
Yeah. It's very controversial, but a lot of people say that what he's doing in acting alone, the so-called executive order, is no more than other presidents, including George Bush and others, have done in the past. And he says that Republicans have done nothing. We'll do this, and if you want to come up with something, go right ahead.
He has the power, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
The Republicans don't like it.
Certainly don't.
Yeah.
And US President Barack Obama is set to begin his address on immigration less than an hour from now. And we will carry it live here for you on CNN. Be sure to stay with us.
All right, and to talk now about the disappearance of 43 students in Mexico's state of Guerrero, calling attention to another chilling mystery, and now Mexican citizens are saying enough.
They're taking to the streets demanding to know what happened to the tens of thousands of people who have literally vanished over the last 7 years.
Yeah, we've got live pictures for you there too as this gets underway. You're watching them now. CNN's Rosa Flores joins us now from Plaza Garibaldi in Mexico City, where protesters are expected to begin their march at any moment. We're watching these live pictures. It certainly looks like a big crowd. Tell us what you're seeing, hearing, the atmosphere.
You know, right now we're expecting two crowds to converge in this area. We're expecting the parents to march right here behind me at any moment. And there's another group of protesters, demonstrators that are coming in the opposite direction. So they're expected to meet here. What we do know is that they're expected to march to El Zócalo, which would actually be in the opposite direction than the march that you're seeing right now. So it appears that these two groups will come together and then they will march to El Zócalo. Now, I've got to mention that there are 3 points in this city where these protesters will meet, and then we'll head over to El Zócalo where these groups are supposed to converge. But take a look, hundreds, if not thousands of people already in Mexico City in support for those 43 missing students. Michael, Linda?
Look at those pictures there, and we had Zócalo Square up earlier as well, so they're marching there to meet those people. Rosa, I don't know if you can hear us. I know it's very noisy where you are there. How much, I mean, just looking at the numbers of people here and the message they're bringing, the anger that is there about all these missing people, how much pressure is that going to put on the president to change what is a broken system, really, when it comes to law enforcement versus drug cartels and the like?
You know, a broken system indeed. We have talked to protesters not only here, but also in the state of Guerrero, and there's a lot of anger. There is a lot of anger in this area because they want for the government to investigate the missing 43 students. The parents are asking for all of the protests to be peaceful, but we have seen protests erupt violently in other states. I want you to take a look at this video because this is from Chiapas, taken earlier today in San Cristobal de las Casas. Take a look. Reportedly about 8 businesses were targeted. One of those businesses, and you can see fireworks. We've actually here live. We've been hearing these for the past half hour, but some of these protests have become very explosive. And as you remember, the president of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, has denounced the violence, and today he delivered a message about that. Here is what he said. Take a listen.
Mexicans say no to violence. Society and government reject any attempt to provoke or encourage it. Mexico for sure is in pain, but the only way to alleviate this pain is through peace and justice.
Now you're taking another live look here in Mexico City. We're by Plaza Garibaldi, where you're seeing a live look at protesters that are waiting for the parents and their supporters. They're going to be marching at any moment from La Plaza de las Tres Culturas, which is the Plaza of Three Cultures, very close by. They're going to be marching towards El Zócalo, where all of the protesters are expected to converge. And Michael and Linda, they are asking for all of this to be peaceful, of course. But let me tell you something. We've seen thousands of police in riot gear ready to respond if violence does escalate.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that because we haven't actually seen any pictures of the police there. We spoke earlier, I imagine there are fireworks going off in the background. We spoke earlier about riot police turning up at the airport. Do you know if that situation was resolved there?
Yes, earlier at the airport, there was a clash between police and protesters. It lasted for a while. We did check with the airport. It appears that air travel was not interrupted, but the clash did happen. It was tense there for a while. From what we understand, Molotov cocktails were tossed, tear gas was also used, but that de-escalated after a few hours, and we actually were there for part of it, where there was a group of protesters. And that, again, there are more fireworks, and we've been hearing those for a while now. But it did de-escalate, and from what we understand, that's where a lot of the police were and have been for the past few hours. We have not seen police in this particular area where we are right now. We're expecting probably to see them in El Zócalo, which we will be going to in just a moment. Michael, Linda?
We'll let you get there too, Rosa. Thanks for that. Really riveting stuff.